Using a 10mm wrench, we're going to go ahead and loosen and remove the negative ground terminal on the battery. Using a 16mm socket and ratchet, we're going to go ahead and get down to the adjuster or belt adjuster right here. I'm going to push down on this, releasing the tension on the belt, and pull up our serpentine belt. I'm going to go ahead and use a pick on the top of this here, press down, and grab that connector and wiggle that off. And we'll go ahead and grab your power steering pump reservoir and gently lift that up. This is just going to give us a little bit of adjustability to go ahead and get in here to get these bolts out. I'm going to go for the lower 13mm bolt underneath the alternator here. We're using a shallow 13 and a swivel socket so we don't have to remove the tensioner. We're putting our 16mm socket on our ratchet and we're going to move that tensioner, and that'll allow us to go ahead and pull out that lower bolt. I'll go ahead and loosen and remove our 13 here. We're going to use our small pry bar just to get between the alternator and the bracket here. Just going to move this. Just use your pry bar just to kind of work that back and forth. We did spray some penetrating lube on the pivots of the aluminum. Once you have the alternator loose, you want to focus on this little nut right here for this harness. Using an 8mm socket, we're going to go ahead and loosen and remove that nut. On the back right here, we have a cap. We're going to go ahead and pop that cap off. Just going to use a little pick to pop that little cap off here. A 13mm socket, we'll remove this nut here. Pull the harness off. Grab your alternator and remove it. Go ahead and lower our alternator down into place. I'm going to go ahead and get our harness installed here. We're going to go ahead and get that nut installed for that little mounting bracket. And once we have that nut on there, we can go ahead and position the cable on the back right here. Get that nut installed for that. I'm going to go ahead and tighten this down. Tighten up the 8mm nut on the back. I'm going to take the alternator and line this up. We'll go ahead and put our plastic cap on here, snap that on. I'm going to go ahead and install our upper alternator bolt. So put that in the alternator. We'll position the alternator into place, work that bolt in. We did apply a little bit of anti-seize compound to the threads on that. We're going to go ahead and tighten this up a little bit. We're going to leave it loose because we want to still have the mobility up and down. I'm going to go ahead to the to the belt tensioner right here, and we're going to bring the tensioner down a bit. I'm going to try and work that bolt in for the lower part of the alternator. And once you get the alternator lined up, slide the bolt in. Now we can go ahead and release the tensioner. Once we have that lower bolt snugged down, we're going to go ahead and snug down the upper bolt. And we're going to go ahead and just snug this down. Once that's snug, go ahead and repeat for the bottom. Let's go ahead and get that serpentine belt installed. So we're just going to put some tension on the belt here. Make sure it's already routed on all of the other pulleys as needed. Go ahead and work the belt on. Make sure it's completely seated on the pulley and slowly release. Before starting the vehicle, do a visual inspection. Make sure the belt is on all of the pulleys completely, not hanging off on the side. Now let's take the connector for the back of the alternator. Line that up. Press it on. Should have an audible click there. Then you want to go ahead and press your power steering pump reservoir down into place. Go ahead and install your ground terminal here. Go ahead and tighten up the nut and just snug it down.